From being fired from a grocery store for stealing chicken wings to 1 million monthly listeners, sold out shows, and pioneering a subgenre, Autumn has risen to the top of the underground in the past few years. But it wasn't always like this. In fact, he almost quit. So how did he get here? Why do fans love his music? And who is he? I'm Rashad Bashir, and this is the untold story of Autumn. Benjamin Clarence Phillips Jr., known professionally as Autumn, was born in Louisiana. His childhood wasn't the worst, but it wasn't easy. He described the part of Louisiana he was from as poor and filled with hate. His family had no money and everyone was struggling. Until he was 5, he was living with his grandma, great-grandpa, siblings, and cousins all under the same roof, crammed in a house. After that, when he moved out with his mom, they had a small house and she'd work at a Pizza Hut. She'd work so much she had to call his grandma to pick him up from school, and their family couldn't afford a car. As a kid, he played basketball and draw. But when he began 5th grade, he'd participate in band class and started playing the trumpet. That's when he started to fall in love with music and remembers thinking,
the coolest thing ever, learning how to play stuff on my own, like piano, drums, guitar, violin, like this is better. This is way better than what I was doing before. Like,
his mom was actually in a band herself. When he was 11, he'd start producing because of his older brother. His older brother had to move back in because he was messing up in school.
Like he ain't never really f with me. You know what I'm saying? Like I never knew why.
And thought he's into music.
I was like, maybe if I start making music, I'll be cool with him. You know what I'm saying? He'll want to f with me.
So he downloaded a program called Mixcraft and learned how to make beats.
And I was right, like he was when it, like we had got cool.
And Autumn would even help his brother write raps. Although his brother did eventually move out, Autumn continued to make beats. At that age, Autumn didn't have much confidence and he was an anxious kid. When he was 13, he used to get bullied for playing video games, so he stopped playing and even got bullied for being skinny.
you know, back then I used to be really soft, bro. Like I used to let people like do what they want. They used to walk all over me.
Later on, he saw one of the guys that used to bully him with a messed up car and eating Burger King. So he walked up to him and told him,
God is real, because you used to make me feel like now your car is your job is and there's not in your wallet.
In high school, Autumn would continue to pursue music as a passion. During orientation, there was only one kid who would speak to him. His name was Donovan, and he used to sing. At the time, Autumn was ready to quit music, but Donovan pushed him to keep going. During high school, Autumn also took music theory as a class and taught himself how to play piano. At the time, Drake was Autumn's favorite rapper, and due to that influence, he'd later be influenced to sing and mix it in with rap. Aside from that, he was different from the average kids in his school, and so were his interests. Outside of school, he would read Shakespeare and was really into poetry, specifically romantic poetry, and would even write some himself. Remember when Autumn roasted his childhood bully for eating Burger King? Well, he also worked there, and Autumn had a lot of jobs as a teenager. In 2015, Autumn graduated high school and he decided to take a break instead of going to college. So he decided to work and make money as well as do music, since he knew school was going to cut into his time. He worked at a grocery store and got fired because he saw
4 wings, bro. They have 4 wings in the freezer. I found them. I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm finna eat. I cooked them. Put the sauce on them and everything, bro. Soon as I lifted that hoe up to my mouth, no homo, my manager walked in and seeing me about to take a bite was like, yo, what are you doing? I was like, I'm getting fired. That's what I'm doing. And then I went home.
He was fired for premeditated stealing. So he decided he'd walk down the street and get a job at a Subway, but that didn't last either. He worked at a gas station, Aeropostale, American Eagle, and his final job was at Walmart. The reason he had so many jobs was due to how he'd be treated. Whenever he was disrespected, he'd just leave rather than take it, or steal their chicken wings. During this time, he'd eventually go to college and was majoring in the music business, but took a break. I was actually set on going back.
If music don't work out, I swear to God, I'm gonna be a pediatrician. I'm gonna be a pediatrician.
At this time, Autumn was just a producer. In fact, he wasn't even named Autumn. He'd go by the name Trap God Benji. His journey as a producer had started when he was making beats at 11, to posting beats on SoundCloud in 2013 at 15 years old, and then when he finally took it seriously in 2015 when he was 17 years old. At the time, he was making Lex Luger type beats and whatever was trending. In 2017, he was posting his beats to YouTube, and a rapper named Louis VD would find those beats and hit him up. Louis VD would later become Summers, and back then, Autumn was actually bigger than Summers. After taking over the internet, finding out they lived close to each other in Louisiana, and bonding over the lack of creativity in the music scene in Louisiana, Autumn decided to work with Summers for free, and they became close collaborators. Pretty soon, he started to see Summers pass him in followers and popularity, and after being encouraged to by Summers and another old collaborator of his, Texaco, to start rapping, he decided to try his hand at it.
I only really started rapping because I wanted to see how I sounded on my beats. That's really it.
And that's when he started doing vocals, in May of 2017. He chose the name Autumn because
Autumn come after Summers, I started rapping after you, so I'm gonna just be Autumn.
That
And
actually
just,
is pretty
it just stuck. I was joking, but it just stuck. So I was like,
His other name, Twin Uzis, was inspired by Slimecito.
I was looking at this picture of Slime Sita, and he had this fire designer coat on, and he had like 2 Uzis in his hand, and that's when I first started rapping. So I was like, Twin Uzi Slime Sita, and then Twin Uzi just kind of stuck with me.
On January 4th, 2018, Autumn got a job at Walmart, and it sucked, but it was all he could get. When he got that job, he had 3,000 followers on SoundCloud, and on October of that year, he decided to quit his job at Walmart. He had 5,000 followers and was the happiest he had ever been. He didn't even tell his mom. She found out through the mail. He told her to give him 3 months, and if he couldn't make it work, he would do anything she asked of him. Go back to school, or even get a job again. He didn't want to do that, so he worked hard and dropped 6 tapes that year, like Bugga World, Don't Forget Me, LSD, Retribution, Before Retribution 3, and Opiates. Bugga World was in support of his uncle, who's currently in jail. Overall, these tapes were very similar to what Summers was making at the time, and Autumn has even admitted to copying Summers in the beginning. His first songs to get big, Bye 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 and Oh Well So What, were actually both even featuring Summers. They didn't know it at the time, but they were pioneering a genre they would call plug and B together. So together, they pioneered the genre, making what he described a mix of R&B with trap drums, along with specific flows. That year, he did an interview, stating he wanted to work with
I want to do some stuff with Wyland, Ron So Cold, Doo-Wop,
and that he also almost signed a horrible deal with Epic Records in 2018. He DM'd them and someone from the label responded. At the time, he was ready to sign for a measly $40,000, just enough to cover his living costs for a year, but he decided against it. This time period, around late 2018 to 2019, was when Autumn said he was the happiest. He described it by saying,
Like when I had 5,000 followers, it was 5,000 people who was new to me.
Yeah.
And they was like, yo, you gonna blow up. Like,
he had nothing else to do. He would just record all day and drop 4 tapes in 2 months, dropping music every other week. He slowly started to gain more traction, but it came with consequences.
when I hit like 40 and I had got verified, after that time, that's when Nina went viral.
Yeah.
And then it just started to get weird, bro. It just got weird. Like, I don't understand all the troll and stuff. And then like weird accusations.
This was when he dropped his album Retribution 3, which gave him a lot more traction. Before he dropped Retribution 3, he had never had a song go viral before, just get decently big on SoundCloud. The tape featured a song called Nina, which was made in 15 minutes. The song's only purpose was to make sure the project had 5 songs on the tape. By accident, it became his first big song, and biggest song at the time, later blowing up to TikTok. He'd go on to get his first Lexus, apartment, and eventually a Benz, all off of music. However, this year wasn't totally smooth. In the middle of the year, he had a short beef with Comethazine, who claimed Autumn was stealing swag, which, if you listen to their music, sounds completely different, so it was likely due to Autumn dyeing his hair and being the same skin color as Comethazine, and slightly looking alike. But whatever the reason, Comethazine told Autumn, watch what happens to you when we catch up to you. And Autumn dropped a diss track in response called Catch Up to You. Really good song. The following year, 2019, was both a successful and eventful year for Autumn. Other than Nina becoming his largest song, he dropped 8 tapes, some of the more popular ones being Modern Day Michelangelo, Retribution 3, and 4. During this time period, he was also a part of and affiliated with multiple collectives. He was a part of Hell World along with Summers, Can, and Texaco, and was a part of D1 with Summers, Goonie, Can, Ron So Cold, and the father of Plug and B / 90s legend, Lil Shine. There were more members in this group as well. He was also affiliated with Slay World. Although never officially in the group, he was very close with and collaborated with many, even being considered a part of the group by most fans, and looks back fondly on Can stealing his beats, even saying,
I want to make a song with him again, bro.
He'd also collaborated with other rising underground artists like SSG Kobe, who's from the same city as him. Towards the end of the year, Autumn posted a mugshot of himself, insinuating he was arrested, and fans were saying Free Wick, his nickname, and some of his friends like Can even made songs in his support. However, years later, it was leaked that Autumn had fabricated the pictures. The year also included tragic news for Autumn. In the middle of the year, his dog Bana passed away. In 2020, Autumn reached new heights, even surpassing Summers for a short period of time on socials and streaming, and will drop a more mainstream project, Ills Vermont, as well as Solitary, which even had a single with Yeet. That year, he dropped a single, still the same, that went on to become one of his biggest songs, and Lil Tecca would even hop on the remix. Tecca and Autumn were friends and knew each other before Tecca was famous, from an Instagram group chat. That year, he was also in a relationship with BK the Ruler, which became a point of controversy for him later on in his career, due to the age gap present in the relationship. BK was 17 and Autumn was 22, which made some fans raise their eyebrows, but I'll leave the moral judgment up to you. By that time, music had really started to change his life. In an Instagram live, he explained his goal used to be to save $1,000 a year.
For money saving used to be like $1,000 a year, bro.
This year, it was $20,000.
My goal this year was to save $20,000. Okay?
Then he pulled out 10K and said it was nothing, hinting that he had saved much more.
This right here, this is 10 bands. Cash.
Thanking his fans. 2020 was a quiet year for Autumn in terms of how much he released music. But in 2021, the consistency returned. He dropped 5 projects: Simp Music, Exactly, Golden Child Chapter 1, Not Much Longer, and Not Much Left. The projects were pretty good, especially Simp Music and Golden Child, but Autumn also dropped some singles that were even bigger. In January, he was featured on a remix of Playboi Carti's Meh by Yeet. The song became pretty big on TikTok with a specific dance, the bag dance, started by Wyland, and fans would start calling the trend the Autumn Punch. Before getting deleted, the song racked up millions of plays on SoundCloud multiple times. However, the two would fall out later that year. The tension would arise when Kankan was arrested and felt like Autumn didn't give him enough support as a friend. When the accusation turned out to be false, Autumn looked dumb in the situation. Later that year, a fan would ask Kankan to make more music with Autumn, and he responded with, "F that boy." Another fan of Kan said, "You way better than Autumn, he fell off." To which he responded, "I know." Kankan would even tell him to, and I quote, "stop playing with him unless he wanted it to be his last week as a rapper." Yeet jumped into the beef, saying LMFAO how MF's fake went to jail. This was surprising because just a month ago, Autumn dropped a song called Wants, shouting out Yeet and commending him for his recent success, and they'd worked on countless songs together previously. Autumn then previewed a diss on Kankan and Yeet, saying, "Who told you I fell off?" responding to them on a Yeet type beat. Since it was a 2v1, it was Yeet's turn to respond, and he said, "He really trying to sound like me, bro, go do something else, that stuff sucked." Autumn responded by saying he gave Yeet his voice, and to remember how grateful Yeet was in the beginning that Autumn ever included him in his circle. Yeet then told Autumn to pull up on him in real life, and said, "I think somebody's mad I passed them." Cat surprised emoji, laughing emoji. Autumn responded with an old message of Yeet telling Autumn he loved him. In October, Autumn dropped a snippet of the diss track he posted, a song called Portrayal, produced by the same producer who produced Yeet's viral song Get Busy, Flaunts, and calls Yeet and Kan envious of him. Years later, Autumn said he was mad he fed into it. In reality, the beef only lasted for a day and they patched things up behind the scenes. Autumn even had beef with Doo-Wop Kane in the beginning of the year, after he called Doo-Wop's music Satan music and escalated the beef, saying he doesn't mess with Doo-Wop while Doo-Wop's music was playing, someone who he had expressed he wanted to collab with 3 years earlier. At the end of the year, Autumn met with Steven Victor and was going to sign a major deal, but decided to sign a distribution deal, which he even alluded to during his beef with Yeet. Steven Victor was even in the cover art for Autumn's project Not Much Left, which ironically featured Summers on 2 songs, his close friend who had fallen out with Steven Victor, after he allegedly was not allowed to drop music. Their partnership started out successful, with Autumn dropping one of his most anticipated songs of his career, One Way, going on to become one of his largest songs ever. However, things didn't end any differently with Autumn than they did with Summers. The next year, he released Antagonist, which received mixed reviews from regular fans and unpleasant reviews from his bigger fans. The project didn't have any songs blow up, the deal expired, and Autumn was independent again. Since then, Autumn has stayed out of drama and dropped multiple projects, the 2 prominent ones being the sequel to his album Golden Child 2 in 2022, and making it a trilogy in 2023 with the Golden Child 3. A great album, very well received by his fans. In 2022, he even sold out a tour. However, he couldn't completely stay out of trouble. In January of 2023, he crashed a car he rented and decided to not pay the rental company in damages. They made a post about the situation, and Autumn decided to beef with them, dropping a diss track on the rental car company called Can't Rent Anymore. And Autumn actually has a history of crashing cars and his horrible driving skills. On a more serious note, unfortunately, in April of 2023, Autumn's close friend Drezzo passed away. Autumn's story is one of hard work, perseverance, and truly pursuing your passion. He was never in the spotlight or the biggest in the scene, but his consistent efforts resulted in his success. On top of that, Autumn's not afraid to crack jokes and interact with his fan base, a rare trait for rappers, especially in this scene.
What you doing if we run up on you? Pew! What you gonna do if we run up on you?
So overall, he's a pretty cool guy with cool music who absolutely never ever gets into beef. If you'd like to hear more of my personal thoughts, watch part 2, The Influence of Autumn, where I share more details about a story that didn't make it in this video and give more insight of his career from a fan's perspective. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.